My ex-wife never liked to fall asleep cuddling, or even touching for that matter. I was the opposite. There was nothing more comforting than her warm body next to me. The smell of her minty shampooed hair, the softness of skin-on-skin contact as I'd pull her closer, the comforting warmth against my chest. Even the subtle twitches she'd make in her sleep were cute. These things soothed my chronic insomnia and allowed me to drift into a peaceful sleep. Our marriage slowly deteriorated, and she tolerated my desire for closeness less and less. If I tried, she would yell at me, each scathing word shrinking me and driving me further away until I was a child again, legs tucked into my chest, back turned away from her, silently weeping, face hidden under the covers, hiding not from the monster under my bed, but the monster in my bed. I don't know how, but each night we slept like this, I'd swear the physical distance between us grew. I'd lie in bed in my newly found fetal sleeping position, and I couldn't feel her movement, couldn't feel any warmth. I felt so belittled and put down that it's like I literally had shrunk so small that the relative distance between us was miles, and it would take me hours to make the voyage to the other side of the bed. The loneliness consumed me each night, and my insomnia kicked back in with a vengeance. That's when I discovered the great thing about insomnia in my situation. When I finally would go to bed, she'd already be asleep. I know it sounds pathetic, and I suppose it was. But I found that if I was careful, I could wait until I knew she was asleep. I'd watch to make sure that she was twitching, and I would carefully crawl into bed, wrap my arms around her, pretending everything was okay, and finally drift off into a peaceful sleep. Of course, she didn't take to this well, and would vehemently demand that I stop doing it. But our marriage had deteriorated so much that it was the only way that I could feel close to her anymore. I couldn't stand it. Every time I thought about what we'd become, I felt a burning hand grip my heart, squeeze, and not let me go. This would go on all day, my heart charring under white-hot fingers until she finally slept, and I could be by her side again. A balm to my aching heart. It felt so soothing that I didn't even care when I'd get chewed out the next day for having done it. It was after about 2 months of this that it first happened. I woke up in the middle of the night and found that my wife had moved away from me to the other side of the bed, which really wasn't surprising. She had started moving away from me when she realized that I had gotten into bed and cuddled her. I saw the blanket's quick, subtle movements near her twitching legs. I smiled. I love that about her even still. I nestled back into the pillow and started to scoot my way towards her, when I felt something firmer than the bed, yet still soft underneath my arm, slightly wet. I scooted back and lifted up my arm, blotched with red, and I saw the source of the wetness. A dead rat. The cat must have killed it. Now, I'd like to say that I calmly took care of it. Instead, I shrieked at an embarrassingly high pitch, waking up my wife. She rolled over at me and asked groggily, "What is it?" I pointed. She rolled her eyes at me, telling me to man up and take care of it, and make sure that I wash the sheets tomorrow. She then rolled over and went back to sleep. I don't know what was up with the cat, but it started happening every night. I would wake up in the middle of the night, and there would be a new dead carcass in the bed between me and my wife. First mice, then chipmunks, a few dead birds, and then a squirrel. Now, the squirrel was the last straw. I've always loved them. I decided to lock the cat in the pantry closet that night. I stayed up and watched some television before going to bed. Per routine, I had quietly crept into the bedroom, looked for her cute twitching, spooned her as I gently traced my fingers along her smooth, bare skin, soothing me before I quietly drifted off to sleep. I woke up in the middle of the night, never opening my eyes, and was pleased to still feel her warm body pressed up against me. I was even more pleased when I realized that she must have woken up at some point and stayed cuddled with me. I had fallen asleep with her bare skin pressed up against mine. But she now had wrapped herself in a blanket, with the blanket placed up against me, still spooning. She hadn't done this in months. I smiled as I went to reach over and pull her closer against me, hoping that this was a sign that things were looking up. My hand didn't meet her soft hair or smooth skin. Instead, I felt coarse, short hair and chapped skin. It wasn't until then that I realized, bile rising in my throat, that the stench of blood in the room was overpowering. I opened my eyes and screamed as I backed up and fell out of the bed, crashing to the floor. I propped myself up with my hands and peeked my eyes over the mattress into the bed. A small pig, probably 100 pounds, with its throat cut open and my wife's name crudely engraved into its flesh along the whole of its body, the wound dripping with blood. Dizzy, sickened, heart racing, stomach churning, I raced out of the bedroom door. Oh my God, where was she? What had they done to her? When I reached the living room, I grabbed my keys and was about to go to the door when I came to a halt. I saw what was on the couch. My wife, beautiful, underneath some blankets, twitching slightly, fast asleep, slightly smiling, and holding a dripping knife in her hands. I got the hint. We divorced, and I didn't try to cuddle her again.